strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien, Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. This is Dorien, Morin-van, your host of Strategy Talks. I want to welcome everybody who is here with us live this morning on this beautiful Tuesday morning. If you are watching this live, please let us know where you're joining us from. If you are joining us on the replay, please put hashtag replay in the comments wherever you're watching this. And special shout out to our listeners on Strategy Talks, the podcast. We want to make sure that you feel welcome as well. Today, we're going to talk about certifications. And I'm very excited to have our guest here today. But before I do and introduce her to you and welcome her up on stage with me, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Social Insider, the intuitive dashboard for social media analytics, reporting, and competitors analysis for brands and agencies. If you need data, you need Social Insider. So without much further ado, I want to welcome to the screen with me, Jennifer Radke. How are you today this morning, Jennifer?
I'm good, Dorien. How are you?
Good. You said it was early. Where are you located and how early is it?
It's not that early. It's 7 a.m. in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So.
Okay. So that's not too bad. So who is Jennifer? Jennifer is a respected speaker, author, and business leader with over 15 years of experience in sales and leadership. She is the CEO of the National Institute for Social Media, a renowned organization in social media certification. So there's going to be a lot more to it. If you are watching this, we'll put the rest of her bio in the show notes so you can learn more about her. But I want to just dive in, Jennifer. Certification, that is super, super cool. I'm so excited that you're here. We haven't talked on Strategy Talks about certification. So let's start with this. How can we put value on certifications, right? Is there a monetary value you can attach to it? And if so, is there a formula for that, right? Because we put out money and then are we guaranteed to get something back? What do we get back? So let's talk about the monetary piece first, and then we'll talk about all the other things we gain from getting certifications.
Absolutely. So I love the question. It's one of those, though, that is difficult to answer because no, you're not guaranteed to get anything back monetarily. But experts have done research over the years multiple times with various certifications. And those who are adequately sharing their certifications and sharing their knowledge are seeing up to 20% increase in their salaries. Tech and marketing being one of those leading the way.
All right. So that makes a lot of sense, right? So, and I just shared a post this morning on LinkedIn. Some of you might have seen it, that when I started my business more than 12 years ago, I had neither credentials nor credibility. And I'd not been in business ever. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 14 years. And here I hung out my sign on LinkedIn that says I'm a social media manager. I did take a course, but I didn't get certified. And so there I had that dual, I don't know if you call it dual jeopardy, but I was like, I didn't have credentials and I didn't have credibility. And so it took me several years, probably 3 to 4 years, to feel not being an imposter, that imposter syndrome. So looking back, if I had had a certification to go along with the course that I took, I think that would have made me feel better, which would have in turn given me confidence, which comes to the next question. What else do we gain from certification, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a badge. What do
It
we
is
gain?
not just a badge. There is so much more that can be gained from certification. And I love that you had a personal story to talk about confidence, because that seems to be one that a lot of people are like, I don't need that. I do this for a living. But the reality is when your certification is passed, right? You pass an assessment that says you actually know what you're doing. It does bolster your confidence. It bolsters the energy with which you sign up for every daily activity that you do, right? In addition, it gives credibility to your clients, to your hiring managers, whoever it is that you're working with and really positioning. They can see that you've also done some continuing education, had an assessment, and are skilled and knowledgeable on those items that have been assessed. And usually certification is more recent. So it can also help bring us to a relevant state. I don't know about you, but I didn't graduate recently. And when I did, social media wasn't even a thing, right? And so my degree, I will never say it's worthless because I am a proponent of higher education, but it didn't help me move into marketing. And it certainly doesn't help me continue into marketing or social media because it doesn't have or didn't have that foundational skill that we all need today in order to work in this field.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a degree in higher education. So that's where I didn't have the credentials either. And so for me, that really felt like, okay, what do I have to offer? And what I found out is my life experience really helped initially. Being able to talk to people and networking. And then as I went along, I did pick up several certifications. And that really, like we said earlier, boosted my confidence. And so I love that. So let's talk about the quality of a program, right? So if somebody is watching, somebody's listening on Strategy Talks, the podcast, and they're like, you know what, Doreen and Jennifer, I need to update. Maybe you graduated 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 plus years ago when marketing and social media just were taught very differently, right? How do we know how do we know where to go? And how do we know that the certification is right, is real, and it's money well spent? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. Yeah. There's a lot out there in the industry, right? There's a lot of people offering their own certificate or certification. And I think the first thing we all need to do is really educate ourselves about what is a certification versus a certificate versus a degree even. So a certification typically requires a third-party assessment. So it's not, Jen's exam. It's done by a third party, usually a group of subject matter experts. So for example, at the National Institute for Social Media, we have an advisory board. They're 100% volunteer from different areas of social media marketing who come together and review a job study that's completed and say, okay, based on what the market needs today, these are the things a social media strategist really needs to know. And they're the ones creating that exam, right? They're the ones really driving what people are assessed on. That certification also typically requires continuing education. You don't normally get certified in something, especially something that changes as fast as marketing, digital marketing and social media, once and then be done. Usually there's ongoing continuing education or re-exams that have to happen. So I recommend folks tend to look at industry certifications first as a baseline. That is 100% what National Institute for Social Media has set themselves up to be. But there are other certifications that are valuable as well, like platform certifications. Facebook or Meta has come out with a ton of different certifications that allow you to really learn different aspects of that specific tool. And those are fantastic if those are the tools you're using every day. If you're not using it, like if you're in job transition, it's better to start with something that's industry standardized so that you have a baseline until you get into an employer and then, oh, I'm doing Facebook ads every day, so maybe I should get Meta ads certified. So those are some of the things that I encourage people to think about. Certification is not attending a class and getting a certificate of completion. There has to be some sort of assessment, whether it be a test, multiple choice or
Mm-hmm.
written, or some sort of Q&A session with experts. There are also practical assessments. My son just got forklift certified yesterday, and that is a practical, like we watch you, right,
Mm-hmm.
on your
Mm-hmm.
forklift to see if you can do the things that are needed. And so when you're looking, it's really important to look for some of those key things that are going to help you with your not only confidence, but the credibility that you're talking with hiring managers or clients about.
That makes complete sense. I love how you broke it down where, especially depending on where you are in your career and what you need. If you are looking to maybe go into a new job that, that industry standard is really helpful, and having that with your name, I'm certified in social media strategy or social media management. And then, I have several friends who've taken the Meta Community Manager course that loved it. And, that's where they want to concentrate on. So then to me, that's like niching down on that one skill, really wanting that certification of that skill. That makes a lot of sense. And I love that you said that a forklift. My son at 13 got certified to be a soccer ref. And he had to sit in a classroom for 8 hours, mostly with adults who wanted to be soccer refs. But then he also had an assessment on the field, because you can learn all the theory you want, but if you're going to be standing in a group of, 22 players and 2 coaches on the sideline, you better have that confidence to be able to put it into practice. So I love that you said that. And that, I think, especially when we're talking about social media and marketing, which is really what we're talking about, advancing your skills with certification today, being able to put what you learn into practice, right?
Yeah.
So then comes the next question. So, they offer usually like a structured curriculum. What are some additional things that people can do? And I think you kind of touched on it, but master those skills that you learned. Is there something that people should do or that you recommend? Is as soon as you got the certification, you now should do 1, 2, 3? Is that something that your certification offers as a follow-up, or do you have a recommendation, or what are some tips you can give people? Like, okay, now I'm certified. Yay, I can hang out my shingle. My badge is on my website. What do I do now? Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first, you tell the world and be proud of it, right? Like, share that certification with everyone so that you can continue to build network, relationship, get job opportunities, build your client base, whatever that is. But that really is the first one. The second one that we value tremendously here at the National Institute for Social Media is to get involved in the community. Okay. There are other certified professionals out there, right? Connect with them, figure out what they are doing, how you might collaborate, how you can lift them up, how they might be able to support you. But the more that you surround yourself with a community of like-minded individuals who have also gone through the same thing, the more productive you're going to be, right? And the more engaged you're going to be in that learning environment.
That makes a whole lot of sense. I love that. And I can share that I got beyond the, that feeling of, imposter syndrome by aligning myself with people like that. So for sure, that helped. So, so as an instructor, you've had the opportunity to guide professionals, right, seeking certification. So could you share some maybe lesser known strategies or resources that people can leverage to maximize their learning and skill development while they were pursuing certification? Are there some maybe strategies they should deploy as they're working through the certification? Or are there some things that you can say like, okay, sign up for this course, but knowing that you're going to be certified at the end, but these are some things that you should be doing now, putting into place? It could be taking notes or, like, what are some things that you think would be helpful?
Yeah. And this may seem super simple, but unfortunately, most people don't do it. If you're going through a preparation course or just studying on your own, we have a lot of different textbooks that we provide our students, and they can go through the study process on their own. the most important thing to help you retain that information is to put it into practice, right? Especially if it's something that you've not done a lot or you aren't super familiar with. Go try it, right? Go put that activity or that concept into practice in real life, whether that be for your own personal brand or for a business brand that you're working on. It doesn't really matter, but go put that practice into action so that you can feel that process. And that way, when you get to your assessment piece, it comes naturally because you can remember what it was like to walk through it instead of just trying to memorize and regurgitate, which will not get you very far on a certification exam.
Right. So if we're talking about, say social media strategy, and you don't have a client yet in social media strategy, but you want to put it into practice, how could somebody go about it? Would you offer that for free to a friend? Do you do your own strategy?
Both of those are great options. You can even make something up, right? If I were going to work with Nike, what would it look like for me to sit down and say, okay, who is their audience? What are they hoping to grow this year? How does social fit into that? And really start from the beginning and put a fictitious plan in place, right? We don't have it anymore, but we used to have a fake company about tomatoes. I don't really remember all of it, but students could go and learn from that. There's just so many organizations out there today. You don't really need to make a fake company, but create something, offer it to a local nonprofit, whatever, put that activity in practice.
All right. That's really great advice. And one of the things I would say, if you're watching this or listening to this and, you want to up-level your skills, start with yourself for sure. When I started out as a social media manager, the first thing I did is figure out how to set up my accounts on my own, right? My Twitter, my Instagram, and try to, grow those and create content for my brand. So that way, when the client would come along, first of all, you have the social proof, but then also, the mechanism of how it works. So let's move on. In your experience as a certified social media strategist, Jennifer, what special skills or knowledge have you found to be the most valuable in advancing your career in the field? Because I feel like not all social media managers are strategists, right? A lot of social media strategists started out as social media managers. So as a strategist, you probably have been in the field and done all the things, right? You've done the scheduling, creating that. But as a strategist, really, that's the next level up where you really sit down with the brand stakeholders and you figure out everything they need to do in a cohesive plan. So what are some of those skills that you probably teach, your certification has, that would be super helpful? And this is really for somebody I want to light a fire under you. If you're a professional and you're in social media and you haven't taken a certification in strategy or have not used that, or maybe you kind of do some strategy, but you don't have certification or plan and haven't gotten training. Jennifer, I'd love for you to light that fire under somebody right now.
Do it. No, the biggest thing, and again, it's going to maybe sound a little simple, but the biggest skill is looking at the big picture. As marketers, especially like you described, right? If we come out of content creation or community management, we understand the tactical application of content to platform to response, right? Like we understand how that works, what buttons to push. But we may not have the bigger picture about why. Why are we creating a certain type of content? What does this flow up into, right? What is the overall business objective that we're trying to reach with this? And that is where strategy really helps, right? If we can understand that bigger picture and can be strong and confident to go to the leadership table and say, no, I need to understand X, Y, and Z, or respond to a demand that is, and I'm sure most of us have heard it, hey, can you just make this video go viral? Well, that's super tactical. Tell me why, right? Now, instead of just saying that's not how it works, because that just puts off your leadership team, right? Instead, ask questions about what is it that they're hoping to gain from that, and then show them the path of why or how to do that without making that video go viral, because we all know that that's, a 1 in a million needle in a haystack kind of situation. So it's really understanding the bigger picture and asking the questions that will allow you to put together a successful long-term strategy and not just a one-time piece of content.
I love that. And that is what I do in my daily life. And
Yes.
I love that you said that, because, I don't know if you're watching or listening, if you're familiar with these LinkedIn AI articles that keep popping up. And I keep seeing them, and they have, of course it's AI. So they're very redundant. And I go and read them and I try to respond to them. But the question keeps coming up, like, what do you do? Like it's like 6 parts. Anyway, every time it's like, start with the goal. But in marketing, I just tell people, it's like, don't start with the marketing goal, because your marketing goal, if you make it up, guys, if you make up your own marketing goal, you might never attain the business goal. If you're a marketer and you're a social media manager, you have to understand what the business goal is, because otherwise your marketing is going to go the wrong way. So I love that you just said that. That was like, that's been such a light bulb moment, I think, for a lot of people that are in marketing, because they're like, okay, well, we need to do social media. I'm like, no, you need to understand what the business is trying to do. So I love that, the big picture. That's really great. So if you are in marketing and you have not done any certification or any learning about strategy, this is a great place to start. So in today's rapidly evolving landscape, Jennifer, how does somebody stay up to date with the latest trends and changes in social media marketing? And what advice can you offer to somebody seeking to continuously advance their skills, whether it's with certification or not?
Yeah, never stop learning, right? Never stop learning. And for each of us, that might look a little bit different, right? You and I focus more on strategy. Somebody else might be focusing on ads. So what you learn, right, varies. But the whole concept is that you have to keep up. And I know it's overwhelming. What I'm here to say is you don't have to know everything. You have to know the things that are going to move you and your brand forward, right? Your business brand or your personal brand, whatever that looks like. So one of the things that the National Institute for Social Media does as part of its requirement is continuing education, right? You have to achieve 20 hours of continuing education in order to recertify. We offer that as well as look at other opportunities and say, yep, these things would qualify for continuing ed. The easiest way we offer them is through free webinars that we offer a couple times a month. But the topics vary, right? We've got one this afternoon on AI. We've got one or had one recently on sales funnels. And so they vary based on what aspect of the marketing strategy you're working in. But go find those things. And that's where community can help you, right? What are you looking to learn?
Right.
And then go do it. But the most important thing is put it on your calendar and learn something new frequently.
That's awesome. Yeah, I try to do 1 hour a week of continuing ed. And sometimes it's just reading blogs or diving into a topic or researching something. But that's wonderful. I was not aware that you offered these webinars. That's wonderful. That's a great way to get that continuing ed, and in those hours. 28 a year doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's about one every other week, right? Is that right? Am I doing the math right? One every 2 weeks. So 2 a month, guys. That's not too bad. You should be able to do that. And yeah, I love staying up to trends, staying up to, up to, I guess, standard with what's happening in the world. It comes down to consuming content and consuming video, webinars, learning, and, putting the right content in front of you. Sometimes when you're doing this on your own, you might forget something. Like right now, I would love to know what marketers talk about AI and what they think, what are the essential things that we need to know. So that's wonderful, having a community that says, this is what you need to know. Where are they expert, right? So I love that. I think that is a wonderful way to keep on trend. So beyond technical expertise, are there any soft skills or qualities you believe are crucial for success in the field of social media? And how can we develop those skills alongside our certification efforts?
Yeah, that's so good. These are things that hopefully we're teaching ourselves all the time, but unfortunately, we don't necessarily sharpen the knife, right? And keep it sharp. Critical thinking. You have to ask those questions. I had a very large Fortune 500 brand want to bring me in years ago to do a strategy for them. And when I said, I need to meet with your executive leadership team to understand the business objectives, they're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I said, well, then I can't help you or your team, because the reality is like you said earlier, they'll be working towards a goal that isn't necessarily the actual goal of the organization, and therefore futile, right? And without critically thinking about how the organization is working or what the product or service is that we're trying to provide, we are opening ourselves up to immense amounts of failure. So, and failure is not a bad thing, but we don't need to start from the beginning. So critical thinking is one. The second one is communication. Communication skills are very important, and not just can you draft good written content or create a clever, reel on Instagram, but really, can you sit down and communicate with leadership or with others on your team what you're doing and why you're doing it and how they contribute to that process, so that everyone knows how to move forward in the best way, so it's not disjointed. Those are my top two.
I love that. Critical thinking and communication. I think those are great. And yeah, we should all have those skills, right? So how can people connect with the National Institute of Social Media? How can they connect with you, Jennifer? And if somebody's interested in becoming a certified social media strategist, do you have other certifications besides that one?
I do, actually. Just in the end of March this year, the National Institute for Social Media acquired a second digital marketing certification agency called OMCP, or Online Marketing Certified Professional. It has a little bit more of a broader scope to it, in the sense that it covers a little bit of email marketing, mobile marketing, SEO, pay-per-click, things of that nature, not as focused on social strategy. So they can learn more about the National Institute at nismonline.org or omcp.org if you're looking at that. But I also encourage people just to reach out to me. And usually if you Google me, you can find me, but I'm definitely on LinkedIn, Jennifer Radke, or on Twitter at RadkeJen, whatever works for you, I'm there. And I am a little bit different. I strongly encourage people to reach out and ask questions. It's how I get better at what we offer, right? By knowing what people are asking and needing. But it's also how I can help guide people down the right path. And it may not always be our certification. It might be something more tactical, like we talked about earlier.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. And I am a firm believer in boosting your confidence through certification, boosting your knowledge, and then, being able to put that into practice. I have several certifications like I mentioned before, and I know that it's really helped me get out there and have people look at me in a different way. Having a couple of badges behind my email signature is one thing, and putting it out on my website is another. But feeling like I have that knowledge, I have very, very much confidence in what I'm able to do because of the certifications that I have, really helps you be a better professional in whatever industry you're in. So highly recommend doing that and taking more. And, it's also fun. Like you said, the community part to doing certification, being there with your peers, learning something, putting it into practice. And, don't we learn a lot from each other, correct?
100%, all the time.
Yeah. So I think that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here. Connect with Jennifer Radke on LinkedIn. Go check out the website. Everything will be in the show notes. Thank you For those of you who were here live, those of you who might watch this on the replay, and a special shout out once again to our podcast listeners. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. And thank you so much. Bye, everybody.